what I've here is actually the first project. Is my first web part that I ever built with SharePoint Framework. So, and it works really great over the last couple of months for the customer. But recently in 1.8, actually, we got the team support. So basically, you can run your web part in Teams, and the customer then come to you and say, "Hey, can you please make it available in Teams?" So therefore, this is one scenario that we need to update our web part. So this project actually, if you want to know which version this project was created from, there is a file in every project, which is the URC file. And when I take a look here, it says 1.0.1, so 0. So it was the first GA version that web part has been built on. So what I can do now to upgrade this to the 1.8 version is, for example, go over here, go to the release notes, go to the first one, then apply the checkout what has changed in 1.4, update all the changes in 1.4, 1.5, and so on. And it's really complicated to follow the steps to make it actually working in 1.8. Because there are so many changes, and sometimes the schema changes, and sometimes only the package references only changes. So another approach is with this project. So I go here in the console to my first project. What I can do in here is also is npm outdated date. Yes. npm outdated, which actually should bring me all the packages that are not up to date anymore. And I see here the SPS build is the current version is the 1.0.1, and the latest one here is the 1.08.2. So I can go now and upgrade all those packages in here, but this is not a guarantee that the web part actually then lets itself compile and runs everything, because there are schema changes in the source files that you can do. What actually is an approach to upgrade this really old project to the 1.8.2 is a tool that is included in the Office 365 CLI. So in general, when the Office 365 CLI is somewhat like the PowerShell. So when you go in here on the documentation page, you see here commands, and this is for, hey, I can log in and get files and folders from SharePoint Online. I can connect to the Microsoft Graph. But one specific part of this Office 365 CLI is the SPFx. And in here we have a command which says project, and this allows you to upgrade our project to the very latest version. So when we scroll down here, these are all the versions that came out that was published, and all these versions have release notes and some changes in there. So I need to go step by step to 1.8.1 and 1.8.2, which is not really a valid approach. So what actually this command does, it runs rules and changes, hey, your current project is version 1.0.0 and you want to go to 1.8. What are actually the changes that happen in this? Not only from the in the package.json, in the URC file, but also in the source code. And when I run this now on the command, I see O365 for the Office 365 client. Then I say SPFx for SPFx project upgrade. And then I want to export, redirect this output to a file. I say here upgrade.txt. And when I go now to my Visual Studio Code, I see here exactly the command lines to execute in here to upgrade the project to the latest version. This is pretty nice, and I can run the script right away. But what I also can do is I want to make sure that what is in there. So I can also change in here the output. Let's say I want to do a markdown file and export everything to upgrade.md. This gives me easier to read version of this rules that I need to apply to my project and also the findings. I hope this works. So open preview. Yeah, now it works. So it found the project and says the following list of steps are required to upgrade the project to 1.8.2. And the first thing is actually I need to upgrade my core. And the second thing is I need to update my SP web part base. I need to update the types for the React. And all these are the findings from my project and steps that I need to do in order to upgrade to the latest version. And at the end, what you actually see here is a summary that combines all these single rules. You see here, there's, for example, here the tslint config needs to be modified. There's the index.ts needs a little bit slightly adapted. And at the very end, you see a summary that collects all these steps together when I find it.
Yeah, this is a relatively long result file because
yeah.
it's from 1.0 to 1.8.2, which is 15 new versions on top of the first version.
Is it 15 new versions? So, but let's make this a little bit smaller, just in case. I mean, it's nice to use this command to upgrade to the very latest version, but what if, let's say, in your organization, you say, okay, we just all use all our projects to 1.6.0. What you also can do in here with the upgrade is I say to version 1.6.0, and then I say output again with the markdown and redirect this to upgrade to 1.6.md. The list should be a little bit smaller, actually. So let's open this up. Yeah, wrong screen. So invalid -t. So to version. Yeah, there's a dash. So now when we look at this list, this is a little bit smaller. And we should be able to find the summary in here. Yeah. So I need to change the schema and things like that. And at the end, when I apply all these changes, then I'm on version 1.6 or 1.8. So it's really convenient to upgrade to different versions or bring it to a new version. Yeah. So, for example, let's check out the URC file in here. URC file, actually, showed you before. I need to change generator version here to 1.6, and I will do this, for example, with the package.json. So I grabbed this line out here, upgrade to the let's upgrade this package, the tslint Microsoft contribute. Then I have at least one step of this this task list executed. And if you then, when you run this command again, it really detects what steps you actually had done. So when I execute the upgrade command to 1.6 again, this package that we have installed now should actually not be included in this list anymore. So tslint Microsoft contribute, we take this out and search for it, and feedback hub, yeah, don't want to give feedback. And actually what we see in here, the tslint Microsoft contribute, is not available in this list anymore. So it gives you, it's a safe approach to upgrade the version. And when you're not sure if you have done all the steps, you can run this command again, and gives you the list what steps you actually need to do in order to make it really run with 1.8.2. That's one way of using it. So it's really convenient because it makes sure that you don't forget one step and modify all the changes to require to run on the new version. Another tool, actually this tool is so convenient that we use it. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the PnP SPFx generator. In the PnP SPFx generator, we need to make sure that when you create a project, which is a version 1.8.2, that you're able to embed there the right web part so that you use the right version of the SharePoint framework your project is running on when you, for example, add a new web part. So we use this Office 365 CLI in the PnP SPFx generator as well. So when I go here and, for example, want to add a new web part to this project, and I say add PnP/SPFx, it uses, I have now installed the version 1.8.2. It uses now the generator of version 1.8.2 and wants to add to this old project that I haven't fully upgraded yet to the newest version, wants to add a new web part in there. And this can be really dangerous because when you haven't upgraded this project, then it adds a code from a different version of the generator. So what we do in the PnP SPFx generator is we use the Office 365 CLI in the background and say, hey, you cannot add a web part right now because your project needs to be upgraded. And what we do in here is to please review the upgrade log. And when I go in here and show the upgrade log, this is actually, it says again here the 1.8.2, and this is actually the version that the PnP SPFx generator is running on. So it is a lot safer or it actually blocks you to add a new web part to this old project before you upgraded everything. Once you have everything upgraded to the 1.8.2 version, then it allows you to add a new web part to this project. And that's basically how the Office 365 CLI works, and so you can upgrade to the latest version, and you can upgrade even when you say, okay, I want to just upgrade to 1.6 for what organizational reason ever. It gives you complete control and in handling those upgrades instead of reading all the release notes that have been in this, like Vesa mentioned, with those 15 versions and what you need to change and tweak in there. Yeah.
And to be fair, Stefan, just to be fully transparent and open on the messaging, our release notes do not have a really bulletproof way of always explaining what you need to update. From that perspective, using the Office 365 CLI is really, really convenient. It is an easy tool. It is a cross-platform tool. It works in Windows, Mac, Linux, and so it's a great tool for that. And it has the logic inside of it. I used the tool yesterday to upgrade SharePoint Starter Kit from, I think it was from 1.8 to 1.82, and obviously that the level of steps which needs to be done was significantly smaller. In this case, the scenario is quite hectic from 1.0 to 1.8.2. Now, before we actually move to the Q&A and back on the slides, can you scroll down all the way down if you can find the summary section, because it's super important to realize that there's a combined commands here. Excellent. So you don't have to execute the npm install commands for every single package one by one. And that's super important to realize. So there is a summary of things what you need to actually do in the end. In this case, again, because we're upgrading from 1.0 to 1.8.2, which is a 15 versions, the amount of things which needs to be done is much bigger. But there's a basically, well, that doesn't look too helpful. Stefan,
no,
don't
too long.
make it. No. horrible. No, but there's a combined set of commands which again then just take and reuse and execute that directly in the project to upgrade on the right version. Any questions? There was a lot of comments related on super helpful, very helpful on the ION windows. Any comments related on or questions? From Charlie. Charlie, that was a good question. Will this allow you to downgrade as well? And the answer is actually no. There's no downgrade operations, unfortunately, because that gets really, really complicated on trying to figure out on which version and then analyzing all of the code files and references and all of that. So the vice versa way of doing stuff, unfortunately, is not supported. The downgrading might come into account where, for example, you want to use the same web part in SharePoint 2019 in on-premises. So you would actually want to go back in time to 1.4 version and you created something in 1.82 because that doesn't work that one. There's a quick question. Can we upgrade SharePoint 2016 / SharePoint 2019 project using CLI? You can upgrade to SharePoint Online, yes. Now, you cannot use, there's only specific versions which are SharePoint Framework solutions, which are specific versions of SharePoint Framework supported in SharePoint 2016 or 2019. So you cannot create a SharePoint 2016 version and then upgrade that to a newer version with the CLI and then assume that would work in SharePoint 2016. That is not the case. So when you're targeting SharePoint 2016, 2019, you cannot upgrade to a later version. The solution, the Yeoman generator will scaffold you the right versions, which are optimized for those on-premises environments. Thank you, Stefan, for the great demo.